Now, Senator Bernie Sanders is now ready to negotiate on the $3.5 trillion budget resolution price tag for the new spending bill. Folks, progressive lawmakers are offering to cut spending short to save President Biden's plan. We have a ton of news to go over in today's fourth stimulus check update, so you guys want to be sure to stay until the end of this very video.
A failure to raise the debt limit will call into question Congress's willingness to meet our obligations that we've already incurred. Not new ones, we've already incurred. This is going to undermine the safety of U.S. Treasury securities, and it will threaten the reserve status of the dollar as the world's currency that the world relies on. American credit rating will be downgraded. Interest rates will rise for mortgages, auto loans, credit cards, borrowing. Folks, watching at home, you should know this is the Republican position. Here's what it is. They won't vote to raise the debt limit to cover their own spending. Democrats voted with them to cover that spending the previous 4 years. They say Democrats should do it alone. But then they're threatening to use a procedural power called the filibuster, meaning that we'd have to get 60 votes, not 50 votes, to increase the debt limit. This would block the Democrats from meeting our obligations and responsibilities to prevent Congress from raising the debt limit. So let's be clear. Not only are Republicans refusing to do their job, they're threatening to use their power, to prevent us from doing our job, saving the economy from a catastrophic event. I think, quite frankly, it's hypocritical, dangerous, and disgraceful. Their obstruction and irresponsibility knows absolutely no bounds, especially as we're clawing our way out of this pandemic. Democrats will meet our responsibility and obligation in this country. We're not expecting Republicans to do their part. They made that clear from the beginning. We tried asking to no avail. We're just asking them not to use procedural tricks to block us from doing the job that they won't do. Meteor is headed to crash into our economy. Democrats are willing to do all the work stopping it. Republicans just have to let us do our job. Just get out of the way. If you don't want to help save the country, get out of the way so you don't destroy it. We don't have time to delay with elaborate procedural schemes, which Republicans' proposals require. Scores of votes without any certainty at all, many of which have nothing to do with the debt limit at all.
Now on the debt ceiling. Before the end of this week, the Senate must get a bill to the President's desk to address the acute crisis of the debt limit. President Biden was crystal clear in his speech this morning. If Republicans don't get out of the way and let the Senate take action now, our government will in all likelihood enter default for the first time ever. Sadly, the Republican position as the party of default has now become so extreme that they've blocked every single attempt to prevent a default from happening, putting our country in serious, serious danger. They've gone so far as rejecting their own requests.
Now folks, let's go over the most important news first. House progressives are looking for ways to rescue President Biden's stalled domestic agenda, and they have opened the doors to scaling back some of the more ambitious social spending by having those programs expire rather than be permanent. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of the leading members in Congress, everybody, pushing for more stimulus payments. But what do you think about the Democrats? But tell me, everybody, which political party is holding back our stimulus payments? The Democrats or the Republicans? Tell me in the comments below. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez told reporters that one of the ideas out there is to fully fund what we can fund, but instead of funding it for 10 years, fund it for only 5 years. So Democrats are also looking for ways out of the deadlock after 3 days after Nancy Pelosi scuttled a planned vote on a $550 billion infrastructure package. Nancy Pelosi said she retreated as progressives bulked at a standalone bill, without the $3.5 trillion social safety net spending and tax increases that they want. What do you think about this, everybody? Can Nancy Pelosi get the job done? can she send out more stimulus checks before the end of the year? And do you believe that Nancy Pelosi is doing all that it takes to help out the American people? Tell me in the comments below, everybody. Now, progressives say they're willing to compromise for that number, within limits, and Pramila Jayapal rejected Senator Joe Manchin's offer of a $1.5 trillion in social spending. Pramila Jayapal told CNN that is not going to happen because that is too small to get our priorities in. So it's going to be somewhere between 1.5 trillion and 3.5 trillion. And I think the White House is working on that right now. Because remember, everybody, what we want to deliver is childcare, paid leave, and climate change housing. Pramila Jayapal said that reducing the length of time for authorizing that spending can provide a path forward. Federal budget rules tally spending in 10-year budget windows, so authorizing spending for only 5 years would significantly cut down the price tag. Now, a White House senior advisor would not commit to a timeline or price tag. And the senior advisor of the White House said having programs expire could be a possibility. He also told Fox News that we don't look at this as a number. We look at this as what programs are we going to deliver. So the decisions will be made in conjunction with members of Congress. But there is unity of purpose, everybody. If that fight comes back in 2025, 2026, or any other year, we're going to be prepared to fight for it. And the American people will know just how important it is. But the good news is this. Everybody, I want you to know this. There are some parts of Biden's Build Back Better plan the progressives say are non-negotiable. Climate programs need to be funded through the 10-year budget window to ensure that the U.S. can meet global emission targets. And the $1.9 trillion federal rescue package signed in March is probably best known for the $1,400 stimulus checks, the third direct payments of the crisis distributed to a large chunk of Americans. Now, time has run out on several forms of emergency assistance in that package. So here are the programs that are wrapping up with their expiration dates. President Biden's American Rescue Plan granted a $300 per week bonus to anyone receiving unemployment benefits, and those extra payouts ended September 6th, Labor Day. Though more than 24 states cut off the federal benefits early, 2 other programs ended that day: unemployment checks to gig workers and independent contractors during the crisis, and an emergency extension that gave jobless Americans an extra 13 weeks of benefits. Overall, about 7.5 million people lost these unemployment benefits. And so now President Biden's American Rescue Plan, and the government has paid 100% of the health insurance premiums of laid-off workers who keep their job-based coverage through what's called the COBRA law. And that benefit stops September 30th. And people may need to find new health insurance because COBRA coverage is expensive. Since July 15th, the government has sent households with kids monthly family stimulus checks under a 1-year expansion of the child tax credit. The payments will total up to $1,800 for each child under age 6 and $1,500 for kids 6 to 17, depending on your income. But the final payment is scheduled for December 15th. Democrats in Congress are trying to keep the larger child credit going. So, do you think the child credit payment should be extended until 2025? Tell me in the comments below, everybody. Folks, I also have some more stimulus check information that I want you to know.